Hello and welcome, Teona. This is a great honor and pleasure to have you here on this live Instagram session hosted by the Arab Cinema Center. I'm Khalid Ali, film and media correspondent from Medical Humanities Journal and one of the members of the Arab Critics Award. It's a great pleasure to have today Teona Strugar Mitevska, a renowned award-winning Macedonian film director, writer, producer. Without further ado, Teona, welcome. It's great to have you here with us.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much. I'd like you to take us on a walk down your memory lane from your formative years, growing in Macedonia, in an artistic family, then to being a child actor, going to New York to the Tisch School for Arts, and then becoming a filmmaker. Highlights of this fantastic journey.
So I grew up in Yugoslavia, in a communistic society. When I was 5 years old, my mother, the national television and radio station had an opening for child actors. So she took me to an audition and I was taken in. So I spent the next 5 years. It was the time of radio drama. So I spent the next 5 years doing every day, actually twice a week, Sunday and Wednesday, I would go to the national television and we would record radio dramas. I loved it. It was such a creative moment of my growing up, because basically when you do radio dramas, you have to sort of yourself also do the sounds. You read the text, so it was quite, I have beautiful memories of this. And then I started doing painting. I was doing some, acting in some commercials for the television. And then, I will jump on. I was a very ambitious child. I said, acting is not good enough for me. I don't like to take orders from others. So it is me who will give orders. And basically that was my reasoning when I was about 14 years old to start being interested in directing.
Yes, quite early. But you grew within a very artistic family. Your father is a painter. Your brother and sisters are also creative artists.
Yes, that is, it is, I've been blessed, but also maybe not so. Maybe I could have been a doctor, a surgeon. Yes.
I'm telling you, you're not missing a lot. Carry on doing what you're doing.
No, when you are surrounded by this, I've always been supported and encouraged by my parents as well as my siblings, my brother and sister, to sort of research all the creative destinations there are. So we just went for it. And yes, as you said, my brother, he works as a production designer, but also he's a painter and a sculptor. My sister, she's a producer, actress. My son, who just helped me with the Instagram account, will be a lawyer.
Right, so you're branching out in the family. But
yes,
you started really early on, and it's a very creative, artistic environment. But then you moved from former state of Yugoslavia. You went to New York. So how did that come through?
As I mentioned earlier, I was sort of an ambitious child. So I also felt a little bit restricted. You must know that Macedonia is a 2 million inhabitants country. So I felt that I needed to spread my wings. I needed to experience the world. And in order to construct myself in my own ways, I needed to free myself from the environment where I grew up. So I went the furthest I could go to New York.
So you went to New York. Yes, and that was the Tisch School for Arts to study. Is it directing you studied?
Yes, I studied directing. Yes.
Yes, and why film in particular? Was it the first attraction, the fascinations of being a child actor and then wanting to be in control? Why film, and why film directing in particular?
You know, our father, he's a big lover of cinema. And also in Yugoslavia, we used to have a night program on the television. I think it was Friday nights, and we used to watch on the television Bergman, Fellini, De Sica. So really, we grew up informed by these great artists, great cinema makers. And also, to tell you the truth, I did really try. I tried photography, I tried painting, and in a way, cinema, it is a beautiful form because it incorporates within all these different ways of expressing yourself. So for me, it was a big challenge. At that time, we didn't have women directors. So everybody said to me, you're a woman, of course you cannot do this. The moment somebody told me that, I said, that's exactly what I need to do.
And you went for the most challenging aspect of filmmaking, film directing. So you didn't go for acting or editing or producing, with all due respect for all these creative professions, but you went for the most challenging, being a director, yeah?
Yes. This must have to do, maybe this is the personality, you know, it has to do maybe with the personality or yes, or maybe the challenge. But it's a beautiful form, cinema. You're a cinema critic. It's such a beautiful form. So much can be said. So much can be said. You can really talk about such important issues and such sometimes uncomfortable issues in such a vivid way that I don't know. I couldn't be happier to be blessed to be able to practice this art form.
Can't agree with you more. It's a wonderful passion that brings us all together, and particularly in these challenging pandemic times, film is more than an outlet. It's a place where we can all come together and share this human experience together. Now, exactly. I reflect back on you made your first short, Vita, in 2001, and your first feature 3 years later, How I Killed a Saint. You focused on stories very much embedded on your country's social, political, and cultural landscape. Was that a conscious decision that you focus on very personal stories from your own background environment?
It's a very good question. For me, it is a question of intuition. I respond to the world. I respond to everything I see and feel through my art and through my films. So I wouldn't say that it's so much a conscious or calculated decision. It is an emotional decision to certain injustice or a justice or something interesting I observe that I need to respond to. And in a way, you mentioned Veta and How to a Saint, but in a way, all of my films are, come from this personal space as a response to what I observe and what I need urgently and passionately to talk about.
Yeah. So you used your cinematic language and vision based on your emotional and formative experiences, if I may say that.
Yes.
And so that probably brings me to another question. Do you ever see yourself making a film about non-Macedonian characters at all?
Yes. You know, we always speak about what we know best.
Yeah.
So I often speak about my experiences as a woman. in my society, in this world, as is the example of Petunia and some other films of mine. You know, in order to speak about something truthfully, you must know the subject matter very precisely.
Yeah.
So this is why I speak about women. This is why I speak about Macedonia. I am slowly opening up.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of my comfort zone. And my next film, actually, it's the main character, the story happens not in Macedonia, but not so far away, in Bosnia, in Sarajevo.
Still in the Balkan.
Yes.
Now you talked about your comfort zone. And am I right in saying that part of that comfort zone is continuously working with your sister as a producer, as an actress, as you working with your brother, and then working with your DOP, your editor? You have a team as such. Is that part of your comfort zone?
Definitely. You know, I think one of the beauty of cinema, it is this aspect of creative collaboration. To be able to, you know, cinema, you know, the film, each film I make, it's not me. There's so many creative souls involved, and they contribute in such a beautiful and an amazing way. It is cinema, it is about the synergy that is created during this process. So creating a team, it is very important because, well, maybe it comes from my early days experience when I made my first film, my first two films, Veta and How to Kill a Saint, where it was very difficult to be taken seriously in the atmosphere that was. So I figured out very early, in order to be able to make the films I want to make in the way that I want to tell the stories, I need to have the sort of the team, the support, the surroundings in order to do this. So yes, we all, you know, to make a film, it is like building a cathedral. It is such a difficult and long process. If you don't have the team that is there with you, that supports your vision, and it's ready to contribute to this vision, then it is very difficult to come on top of it, to finish this long run that is making a film. So yes, I along the way, I met people that where our creative forces collided. And yes, I've been lucky to be able to have this wonderful team.
To lead the team. You say it's like building a cathedral. Probably it's fighting a war. There's persistence, there is perseverance, and you need allies and you need an army
yes.
to get to this. So, and what a fantastic army and team you have got together. Now, if I may talk about your fifth feature film, God Exists. Her name is Petunia, film that was widely received with acclaim internationally. It won major awards in Europe, and you won a magnificent award, the Lux Prize for the best European film from the European Parliament. We'll come and talk about this, but tell us about the film itself. It's inspired by true events, and I heard one of your interviews. Your interest and desire to tell that particular story was informed by the reaction of the media. When it came in the media, it was an interesting story, an entertaining piece of news, but you saw something different in that true story, and that compelled you to tell this story. So tell us how it all started and what made you fight to make this wonderful film.
So basically it all started with my sister. She sent me a link of, 6 years ago, a woman, an actual woman in a small town jumped for the cross. It's during Epiphany, It is an event that happens in Eastern Europe, in all Orthodox countries. And basically, men only take part in this event. And then a few years ago, a woman jumped for the cross. And it was, my sister sent me a link because basically when she caught the cross, all of a sudden it became a big deal in her town. It's like, how dare she jumps for the cross? She's a woman. She has not the right. She did not only jump for the cross, she caught the cross. And all of a sudden, the society, they didn't know what to do with her. So she fought for the cross, to keep the cross. Basically, they wanted to take the cross away. She fought for the cross. What was interesting and what was very frustrating for us is that the Macedonian media did not, when something like this happens, when an individual defies the rules, the rules of the society, you would think that the press and the society will stand up and say, wow, why did she do it? Why is this important? What was she trying to say? Etc., etc., etc. In the Macedonian medias, the way the event was reported was publicized, yes, was a woman jumped for the cross, ha ha ha, what a funny story. And my sister sent me the link to, because this woman gave an interview on the for the local television, and my sister sent me a link. She said, look, this is so interesting. This woman, she's very intelligent. She knows what she's doing. She's doing a very obvious provocation in order to make a point. She's battling taboos in our society, yet nobody is reporting. There is no discussion about what she's trying to do. So then we sat down and we said to ourselves, me and Labina, we said, listen, if this woman did not manage to start a discussion, let's make a film about it and maybe we will start the discussion. So that was the first drive, the first idea.
And certainly you have started and provoked a discussion around the international, around the world. The film has screened in Europe, it won major awards, and you have certainly started discussion. And Petroni in the film, she defied the religious institution as well as the legal society, the police institution, the judiciary, and challenged them right where it hurts. Is that because when she was taken to the police station, it's not a religious or a criminal offense for a woman to take the cross and to win this competition in Epiphany. A woman's story. Do you see yourself as a champion for women's stories? Previous films, I Am from Tito Velez in 2007, The Woman Who Brushed Off Her Tears, 2012. They're special milestones in your film career. Women in different ages, different backgrounds, but human beings in turbulent times. Tell us about those two particular films, I Am from Tito Velez and The Woman Who Brushed Off Her Tears. Again, powerful women or women in very difficult times and difficult circumstances. And you told the stories.
A champion, you said a champion of women's stories. Thank you. That's a big word. So I'm from Tito Velez. It's the challenge there for me was to talk about, to tell a to find the beauty in the very heavy and difficult reality that these three women experience. Also, it's a story that talks about history and how history and tradition can be so heavy and it can imprison us, the possibility of us, women or men, to be who we could be. So it is a very tragic story about women who cannot get out of their, unfortunately, out of the heaviness of their family history. The other film, The Woman Who Brushed Off Her Tears, it's a completely another story. It is a story of two women from different parts of the world. Basically, it's a story that actually shows us that the main things we care about, no matter where we come from, they're the same. Human concerns are no different from you in Sudan or England or me in Macedonia. We care about family, we care about love, we care about taking care of the people we love, etc., etc. So it's a story about motherhood and how these two women from different parts, one is from France, other is from Macedonia, who live in a very different circumstances, deal with their love for their child, for their son.
And trauma. There is a fine line. There's your characters in your films are all subjects. I'm not saying victims, but they're subjects to trauma perpetuated by the society and what is the norms in their societies. And women are, in all your films, these are strong women. They're trying to make a statement. They're trying to make their marks and we have to say it, in a patriarchal society.
Totally. They try, they rebel against the patriarchy. They try to define themselves differently than what it is expected from them.
Indeed.
What is drawn for them.
And that is seen, the universality of the human experience. It talks to women across the world. As you rightly say, it's women from Paris or from France and from Macedonia, but it actually talks to women right across the globe. So when it comes to women's rights, are you hopeful? I know that your films are messages for change, for fairness, for equality. Are you hopeful that change and fairness and equality is happening in Macedonia and in societies around the world? Are you seeing that the real stories, the challenges are being talked about, are discussed? Are you hopeful that change is taking place?
I think yes. I think we have gone very far in our development, in our understanding of equity, equality, justice. But I think, unfortunately, when you look at all of these issues, on the end, it is all about power. And I think we have a long way to go. Everything that is gained, it's not written in stone. So the discussion must continue. My son, he's studying global politics, and he was showing me certain information about all these issues. And actually, in the past 5 years, we have gone backwards, although it feels as if we are going forward. So it is interesting how everything is related, how economic issues are connected to the liberation, freedom of expression, etc., etc. So it is, I don't believe anything is gained, but I truly do believe that today women will live better than ever before in terms of, in terms of freedom. Okay, now I'm talking about certain parts of the world, you know. So yes, I think the discussion must continue and our fight must continue. And as you mentioned, our biggest problem is patriarchy and capitalism, but how to tackle that, that's all another story.
I can sense, and rightfully so, that there's still a sense of bitterness, that there's still, as you said, there's still miles and a long journey to be walked into be experienced. And it's not only about the legislation. And again, if you go back to her God exists, her name is Petronia, the legislation does not discriminate against women, but it's also the society and the culture and everything. So the laws are not everything, even if the laws change, but there is a lot to be done with the mentalities of society.
Exactly, and you know, the mentality is the hardest to change. What is written, the laws, as you say, as Petronia says, the laws are the laws, but to change the way we use them and practice them, this is a long way to go. So yes.
And film, here is where film comes. It's changing that mindset, changing the language, the vocabulary of the discussion and the controversy.
You know, it's very interesting. I was so happy when Petronia got the Arab Critics Award. It is so gratifying that a film, a small film from a small country of 2 million people, speaks to people from all over the world. It is incredible. It is the beauty of cinema. And I don't know, it gives me a lot of hope when I see such an example, such as ours, that yes, we are all on one level or another united, and we have the same concerns.
Indeed, we do. Coming to the award, the Best European Film Award at the Cairo International Film Festival last year in November, its 41st edition, 2019, in the initiative sponsored and promoted by the Arab Cinema Center. The reception was unanimous. Actually, it was a straight win for your film. There were fantastic European films in that competition. I was not lucky enough to see it in Cairo, but now the film won the award. I voted straight away for your film. The Arab audience reception to the film, and if I right in saying that the constitution of the Arab Critics Award is it's 50-50. You know, there's the men in the members voted for your film too. So how was the reception for the audience when you were handed your prestigious award there? The audience, people, how did the people in the audience, the critics, we loved your film, but I wasn't there when the film was screened and the audience related to it. How did you see the reception of the film from an Arab audience?
I was not there. My sister was there. Labina was there. And she said it was an amazing experience. You know, the story of Petronia, what is interesting about the character of Petronia, first, it's an unlikely hero. It is not a person, a character that you believe that can start a revolution in the beginning when you meet her. She's sleeping, she's doing nothing, she's 30, etc., etc. And as the story develops, she grows into, evolves, she grows into this force of change. So there is something very beautiful, very gratifying for the audience. This is what I believe. To see a character evolve to something that, in a way, it shows that each of us could change and could provoke a revolution, that each of us can change the world and can make something bigger than ourselves. So I think audiences in the Arab world, in Cairo, as well as in Japan, follow the character of Petronia, and so here I'm talking about the audience, they relate to a character who is the unlikely hero. And so this is what I understood from Labina, that really the audience was, relating to the main character.
But then you talked about change and inspiring change, and I think Petronia in the film inspired change even in the individuals, the Labina, the reporter, the policeman in the film, and even the religious priest. He was reflecting and thinking, yes, there was those moments of self-doubt that, yes, actually she's right, what she's done actually does not break any religious rules, or it shouldn't be discriminated. She shouldn't be a criminal. So the change is inspired in the immediate society, and we can see that Petrunia was the inspiration and the catalyst for change.
Yes, because she's smart, she's intelligent, she's empowered by her education, she's a thinker, she's not screaming, she's not violent, she observes what surrounds her and tries to have a discussion. And then when she has a discussion, when she puts things on the table and she says, I'm sorry, am I arrested? No. Am I doing something wrong? Then, like, when somebody speaks the truth, even the most, even when you refuse to hear it, you hear it somewhere in the back of your head. So it is, yes, she's, we call it, we call it, when you make a change with she's like a slowly moving water.
Yes. And
it's not basculating too much, yet she manages to go through the most strong mountain.
But it built, because we see right at the beginning of the film, we see her even ridiculed, abused by her immediate family member, her mother, calling her, not very nice, names. She goes for a job interview. She's sexually harassed by the potential employer. So it's all this angst and anger building till it exploded. But then she exploded at that moment when she grabbed the cross and won the
exactly.
Cross. But then again, she came back to that subtle way of reasoning. I think the voice of reason shone through in the film. But that was the Arab audience reception, which was fantastic. The European, it must have been a very proud moment when you received the best European Film Award from the European Parliament. How did that feel, you personally, and how will that lead to the European community embracing Macedonian film?
Well, by winning this award, they are already embracing, they're inviting us in the European community. In Europe, we make amazing cinema. I love European films because they're so diverse. Culturally, the continent is full of such a diverse way of looking at life, a diverse way of telling stories. And actually that is the beauty of the world cinema, how a person from the Arab world will tell a story, or person from the Asian continent, etc., etc. And it is this diversity we must embrace, We don't need to make the same films, and we will not. I cannot make a film of a North American person, never. I come from a different part of the world. I grew up, basically it is about different types of storytelling. And that is what is beautiful and amazing about what actually cinema puts forward. I went away from your question, but I'm very proud and I'm happy because I think the future of the world and the future of culture is embracing diversity.
And the film is a European, God Exists, her name is Petrunia, is a European co-production. So that was, again, this will hopefully happen again in your future films?
Of course. The way the European system of producing films functions, it is heavily relying on this doing co-productions. So most of our films are co-productions, and Macedonia is part of this Euroimage media system of co-producing, and it is something that actually it functions well and actually opens many doors. It helps in distributing our films, and really it helps us make the films we want to make.
Indeed, and I think it's the film with all the prestigious, accolade of awards that is received. I've seen it in England, in I think in Glasgow or Edinburgh Film Festival. It won again the Audience Award. It hasn't got that general distribution. I'd really like, from this platform that we do. Your film gets a distribution and generates this discussion in the UK, and perhaps a retrospective of your films. I know you've made a documentary, shorts, and 5 feature films, and you had the retrospective in Turin.
Yes, I had that. That was my first ever retrospective. It felt very strange because I thought this is should be done a little bit later, but yes, it was a great honor, and it was a great way to actually start the distribution, introduce my work to the Italian audience. You're right that in England the film is not distributed. Not yet, yes, but actually it is a film that has been distributed all over the world, I think to over 45 territories all over the world. So it is an incredible journey for a film from such a small cinematic industry, really.
But it's a testament to the universality again of the message.
Exactly.
It touched, I think, a raw nerve in the viewers, in the audience, being that a specialist audience, critics, or a general audience, or even in very high-powered institutions like the European Parliament. Those stories, does that? I'm sure it's a challenge. Is that, how do you follow that? Is that a cause that is making you think, a long time before you make your next film? Is that a hindrance? If it's a good hindrance, but it's scary to follow a film like God Exists, Her Name is Peterunia, to reach that appeal.
Yes. I don't, I try not to think about that, because I think as long as you must follow your personal journey, you must tell the stories you want to tell in the way you want to tell, without doing compromises, without trying to satisfy certain expectations. Really listen to your heart and this raw urge that you need to make the film. I try to really follow this and make, I think cinema, it's a very powerful art. You can make many things. You can entice change. I think it's very important. Sorry, it was. It is a very important. It is a form with which you can express many things, and then sometimes some film, it is made for the right time. Some films are not. I don't know. You never know. You never know what the world or what the audience is looking for and hungry for. And I think an artist, a filmmaker, should not overwhelm themselves with this. You should just tell the story. And there is another aspect. I think making cinema, it is also about, it carries with it a responsibility. Cinema makers, filmmakers are philosophers in a way of their time. They must be brave. They must be. They must go against the way of things. They must provoke in order to bring the truth forward. So I think that is most important. It is important to be brave in the way you tell the stories and in the choices of the stories you make. And if the audience will accept or not, I don't know. I don't know. That's another.
You rightly said that there is the filmmakers, intellectual thinkers, they cannot sit back and be quiet in the very serious world that we're seeing. It is a responsibility, and it's you've taken that. You've been an ambassador for Macedonian cinema, and I think going back, the power and the reception of your films, worldwide, that gives you an edge to go back and make the films. I know that at the beginning of your career, you were harshly challenged by the patriarchal society in Macedonia. And now you go back with a stronger, from a stronger place.
Yes, and hopefully whatever I do, whatever you do, we do, provokes other filmmakers, women or men, to come forward and to feel free to express themselves as they want, the way they want. I think that is essential. You always hope that you open the door for the next one.
I think on that note, I can't summarize the ethos of film and cinema and storytelling better than that you have encapsulated it. Thank you so much, Teona. It's been wonderful to talk to you and to watch your film. And I'm looking forward to hopefully hosting you in the UK and sharing your beautiful film and films as well with as wide an audience as possible. Any final messages to the listeners and to the audience?
Well, I think it's very important to be active, proactive, to react, and to use your to be free to express yourself and to use this freedom of expression to voice your opinion. It is very important to create space for yourself to express yourself and to create space for others to express themselves.
Fantastic. And I'm quoting one of you, and it's justice for all. It's just for women and men. And I think this is one of your mottos, justice for all.
Totally. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Teona. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you tonight. You stay well, stay safe, and hopefully when this dreaded pandemic is over, we will meet in person and we'll all celebrate the magic and beauty of film and cinema together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.